Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and also welcome to the worst possible situation. Just wait for it, it's going to happen very quickly. Today I'm playing in the Panther II, which has one of the worst win ratios of any of the tier 8 tanks, and to top it all off, I'm playing on my Plays for Free account that I don't spend any money on, so I don't have all of the benefits of premium consumables and exceptional crews and equipment. And also, we're playing against tier 10 tanks in the form of two VZ55s. But I've spawned on mines. When I play on mines, there's always one thing that I want to do. And irrelevant to the fact that it feels like that tier 10 Czechoslovakian heavy tank is faster than me into position, I want to contest the hill. I will always contest the hill on mines. It's not just about whether you make it up or not. It's that if enough people on your team do so, that you dissuade your opponents from trying to contest the hill. And even if I was to fall at the very start of the battle and get this T-49 secured up on the hill, I feel like it's the right play. How many times have you played mines and gone to the east part of this map, and because your team doesn't get the hill, then all that happens is the enemy team get up on the hill and dump on everybody towards the east? It's so easy to go east. There's no risk. There's no competition for that position at the east at the beginning. But if you don't have the hill, you lose so much pressure. And just look at what we're going to be able to do with our starting hit points effectively of 8. We're going to try and do all of the work that we can. We're going to keep this Renegade very uncomfortable in this scenario. So uncomfortable so that they just don't really know what to do. They're looking to their left, they're looking to their right, they're looking for those opportunities. Yet I'm in a position creating a crossfire, getting the Renegade spotted there, getting the M4Y on the enemy team shut down, and just keeping the other Renegade and the VZ55, just thinking about it. I'm stopping them from going hold down. I'm stopping them from shooting my opponents. And we, even in a bottom tier medium tank now, are dictating how the combat goes from the hill, even with 8 HP. Now look, it would have been really nice if I got up on the hill with all of my hit points. Maybe the Panther II is just on the boundary of being too slow, with its fairly poor power to weight ratio of 13.55 and its relatively poor top speed of 55, that it's never going to be able to achieve upslope. But this is how much I think that mines the hill is worth it. And you're going to see all the way through this battle that even though we are on 8 hit points, we can still be very useful. And it's just about making these ultra tight plays, about only coming around the corner when you think you've got an opportunity. And even just the fact that you're that little threat in your opponent's minds. The fact this VZ55, he has to keep turning. He doesn't feel comfortable. He doesn't feel like... He's obviously a good player with a VZ55 and also with the badge. I think that's for participating in some kind of clan event for all I know. And just to keep those kind of players uncomfortable, even when you're in your bottom tier tanks. Now I'm thinking about going around this corner, and you see that I hesitate, and I realize, yeah, the artillery on the enemy team is definitely going to have a word for me if I go and put myself in a basic position. But let me tell you, this position here, if you can manage to get to it on mines, is possibly the most overpowered position across many, if any, maps. From here you can manage to spot down and catch the bushes that you can see just across here. We can also manage to get easy shots on our opponents if they hang around in these locations, as well as also managing to stop your opponents from being able to get some play across towards the north. However, you cannot do that on this map if there's an artillery and you're down on 8 hit points. If I had 1,000 hit points, I'd be there in a heartbeat trying to get some crossfire on the VZ55. But it's also about accepting what you have and dealing with it. And again, even though we're the bottom tier tank in a terrible matchup and we're down on 8 hit points, those 8 hit points are still very valuable just from the kind of pressure we can put up. As long as you're not ammo-racked, as long as you don't have dead crew members, it doesn't really matter how many hit points that you have as long as you don't lose them. Now, of course, having more HP will allow you to be able to risk those hit points and to take more chancy opportunities, which often result in you doing more damage. However, if you're left with any kind of hit points at all, it doesn't matter if your opponents can't see you. We're unlucky that we bounce a gold round off the TL1 LPC, but we're putting in 2 great shots into the Char MLE 75, reducing them from pretty much full hit points now down to half hit points. And that's because for all that the Panther II has horrible aspects, aka its armor, aka, its armor and its mobility, really, its gun is absolutely awesome. Since Wargaming buffed this gun to having up to, I think it's 280 damage, as well as also being one of the most accurate guns on any medium tank in the game, The base accuracy value on this vehicle is 0.3, and it just allows you to absolutely snipe and absolutely slap your opponents even from great distances. And these 8 hit points have already profited with 2,600 damage. And that's because of obviously the tank's strengths at being a sniper, but also just taking this all-important position. And my team is starting to capitalize with it as well. We see that a Super Conqueror has managed to get up on the hill, has got into that position that I was talking about earlier, and now they're going to be able to apply pressure, not only for vision towards the back of the map, but also towards the tanks that is below them in the form of the VZ-55. The Super Conqueror doesn't seem to be able to pen any AP rounds, so they're going for some HE rounds here, and I can keep them distracted and create that tag team effect with that Super Conqueror. And oh man, this was one of my favorite replays of the year so far. Not because we're going to end up with 8 kills, and because we're going to end up with 6,000-7,000 damage in a tier 8 vehicle, but because it really sums up, firstly, taking the risk for a position and the risk reward, and then also about how tightly you can play when you know that your vehicle is down to a low amount. And just sometimes it's just about that presence, and the presence can have more of an impact, and the positional control can have more of an impact than the raw damage output. Although also raw damage output, if you can also do it in the correct position, is even better, right? So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be actually communicating with this artillery, not only where the enemy artillery is, as we saw the tracer, but also you're going to see I'm going to give a big thumbs up to the M53-55 on my team. I love thanking my teammates. It's something that I wish more people would do. And I can imagine when somebody gives you a big thumbs up after you hit a great shot, after leaving the base and actually using your WASD key in an artillery to be able to dig this VZ out of position. I mean, that is just awesome. This artillery is stopping this VZ-55, who put those 2 rounds into me at the very beginning of the game, from just camping in this position, forcing them, I guess, to either get out of this battle and go and pick another tank inside the garage, or to have to relinquish the position. And that's what artillery is great for, and why it's great to also contest these aggressive positions at the start of the game that then can allow you to dictate the pace of the game and also force your opponents out of positions because you can envelop crossfires on them. Honestly, I kind of in a way missed the back in the day when I was playing my medium tanks and light tanks, when heavy tanks like this would be finish him, you know, by the self-propelled guns. But it's kind of a bit of a shame these days that people can just sit in positions like this VZ-55 and just get away with it, whereas back in the day they would be pounded again and again and again. Now, I'm not saying that those days were better. They were definitely better if you were a bottom tier medium tank compared to a top tier heavy tank that gets to sit in a hull down position. But in some ways they were better, in some ways they were worse. I'm not defending it. I don't think that the current meta of the game is any better than it used to be, and I don't think it's any worse. There are some things that are definitely more preferable to it, and some things that are a little bit more awkward. Gosh, look at this Panther 2's barrel. It's absolutely comically long at the front of the vehicle. It's kind of crazy this thing ends up getting such a bad win ratio. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to load an HE shell, and I'm going to look for it, avoid the spaced armor, and put one right through the side of the VZ-55. Finishing the job that the Super Conqueror was unable to do so on my team, picking up my 3rd kill of the game now, nearly up to 3,000 damage, looking for the STRV-103B, and still with the 8 hit points that we just about managed to get up onto the hill with. We kind of limped up on the hill. Our crew might be a little bit shaken, that's for sure. But hopefully this STRV is going to overturn, or maybe I'm just going to end up tracking or spotting them in this scenario. And no, don't lose those 8 hit points right at the end of the battle, Mr. QB. No, come on. Let's finish off this CS-52 lease instead. Boy, I have to admit, this tank, when I actually managed to get it fully elited on this account, has actually been quite a performer. I think that the Panther 2 is getting a real bad name in World of Tanks. And it should do. It's a big old hull, and look, it's not going to be as competitive ever as something like a Borask. But as a free-to-play player, on this account at least, I could tell you that the Panther 2 and just sniping with it, and the raw firepower with the 2,100 DPM, great penetration, great accuracy, and fairly good alpha damage of 280, this thing's actually felt really nice on the free-to-play account, which quite surprised me, as this thing is a little bit of a meme in a way, right? As to how lackluster it is. But Wargaming definitely did a good job with buffing this thing up and making it a fairly nice transition between the Panther and the E50. Now, is it still a vehicle which I would love to get up in the morning, you know, stretch, think, oh, what a wonderful day. Can't wait to go and play the Panther 2. No, not exactly. But is it absolutely a horrendous, terrible vehicle that you should skip through these days? Not at all, especially if you're willing to give it a good crew and work on what equipment you use on the tank. And what I really want to highlight from this video today is that make those hit points count. And you can still, with tight plays, once you've actually got those most important positions on the map, still get some fairly good damage outputs, even in what looks like a nightmare scenario. And this is why I will always contest the hill on mines if I've got a vehicle that can go 40, 45 kilometers an hour or faster. And I'd rather give it a go to win it and to have that impact than to kind of like wilt away sniping at the back of the map and allowing probably the VZ55s to just completely trash the game from the middle. So while no battle hero medals here, this was still an ace tanker for only 1,227 base experience. Yeah, probably one of the easiest tanks to ace, I should imagine, at tier 8. And while we weren't even top on experience, we were sandwiched between a BMW 176 platoon here. We would have made a profit with or without a premium account. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, again, I don't want the whole channel to just be me slamming premium tanks, the best tanks, spamming gold on my main account. That's the whole purpose of the Plays for Free account, to show you the nitty-gritty games. And this one, hopefully, will be a motivator for some of you out there to never give up, no matter how bleak the situation looks. As well as also, come on boys, contest the hill on mines. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, the Dead Space remake is released. I'm going to be streaming it all live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. So come along as I relive one of my favorite horror games of all time. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.